Hello, it's Richard Lund coming to you from Los Angeles. As you can tell from the script here, it says my COVID-19 drive-through test. So today, which was the 2nd of May, 2020, I received a free government-paid drive-through test to see if I have the virus active in me, the RNA test for the COVID-19 disease, which looks for the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Now, you might ask, why would a healthy person like myself get a test? First of all, the government offered tests. As you can see here, it says free COVID-19 testing now open to all residents with or without symptoms. And this was an announcement made 2 days ago by Mayor Garcetti. And I think I really came to grips with it yesterday. So the point of it is that since some people have the disease but do not have symptoms, I thought it was a reasonable thing for me to get a test, even though I have more or less stayed home for most of the time over the last 6-7 weeks. And I go out perhaps once a day for my walk. So I have some exposure to the public. And I also see my children, but not, we don't touch, we don't come really close to one another. So this is something that I thought was important, that I should prove that it's available. It really is true by doing it. The second thing is, I've been told by epidemiologists that I've listened to this week on programming that when a city or an area has testing that results in 10% or less of the people being tested as positive for the virus, that will be a sign that they're ready to open the city, make changes so that people can return to work. So in some ways, this is me contributing to that possible pool of people who are either not infected or like if I am infected but I don't know it because I have no symptoms, then I also would benefit by staying away from others and don't want to share what I might have. So that's kind of the motivation and reason. And so yesterday, which was May 1st, in the afternoon, I made a contact through the website that was given to see if I could register for a test. And so I went down, and they have first a series of screening, either questions or conditions. So if I was a first responder, if I was having certain symptoms, then I would answer yes to a question or no to that question. And I answered no because I didn't fit any of those criteria. And then it showed me that I had 3 choices for places for a test. Now, on my daily walk in my neighborhood, I live near Kaiser Hospital in Panorama City. And I walk past there, and they do tests there. But apparently that's just for the Kaiser folks. So even though that's my membership, I decided I would take the free city test. I also wasn't sure whether Kaiser was offering tests to anybody who wanted it or not. But remember back when, at the beginning of all this, there was somebody from the East Coast who said we could get tested and we wanted to. So that's me today, May 2nd, 2020. Now, looking at it this way, getting my test, helping people understand what the test is like, is probably going to be good because it would encourage those who are thinking about getting a test, who have availability of testing in your area, perhaps you do, then you can go ahead and, as long as it's a mouth swab done by the individual themselves, you can see exactly what it's like. So I'm going to play a video that I collected of me doing this. Now, I did it after I received the packet that had the test in it. When I first went to the place, it's about 5 or 6 miles from my house, and I drove there and I got in a long line of cars. And initially I was examined by a couple of police officers who wanted to know whether I had watched the video of what to do when I registered, which I did do. So I registered, and then I watched the video that they instructed me to watch, so it told me how the test would run. And then I joined a long queue of cars, a line of cars. And I'm guessing there were perhaps 60 or 70 cars ahead of me when I first got there. And as we entered, or we continued down the line, we circled around and came around back, and then the line of cars was split into two. Initially, I would say, like I said, maybe 70 cars ahead of me, and when I got up to that point where the cars were lining up pretty heavy, I'm sure there were probably at least 50 cars in the two lines. And as I got closer, when there were about 7 or 8 cars ahead of me, I noticed that it was the time was 2:02 in the afternoon. My test was scheduled for 2 o'clock. And as I got up to it and received my test kit, it was about 2:07 or 2:09. I've forgotten which it was. And I think it was 2:09. So I waited about 7 minutes. So I'm guessing it was approximately 1 car per minute in each of those two lines. So then I received my kit. I had a little conversation with the man giving me the kit. He reviewed the test with me. I reviewed what I was supposed to do. And I had forgotten that I was supposed to cough 5 times and then take the swab. So I went ahead, drove the car up a little ways behind some other cars, put it in park, and then I went ahead and did the test. So I'm going to just play the video and you can hear how it went. Well, here I am. I'm going to take my COVID-19 test, and I have received my test kit. This is the swab. This is my instruction book. And I have reviewed it before, so I'll save this and go over it later. This is a piece of cotton, and I guess we reuse the bag, so that is the current idea. And this is the reagent holding stuff, and there's a screw top on that. So I'm going to take my short little thing. I need to cough 5 times. I think that's maybe what this was for. Forward.
Yeah, you don't need to cough into that. That's just to absorb the water for test techniques. So just put that in.
I had no idea what it was for. Sorry.
No, it's just kind of there.
Thank you. You want me to pull up, obviously. Thank you. So I was doing it wrong.
So you can just put that back in the bag.
I will. The swab was for the absorption of materials, so I'm going to cough. 5 coughs. Let's see, now I've got to open this up somehow. Okay, we got that. Got it open. Got my little swab. Okay, we got 10 seconds on both sides of the mouth each, and 10 seconds on the roof near the back. Here we go. It's not my favorite. So in the tube it goes, and we're going to put the cap on the tube nice and tight. I'm going to put this in here, seal it, and I'm going to drive up to the next place to dump it off. That is my thing to finish. And I'm handing my test off. Hutchinson Park.
Okay, you can get an email in about 2 to 5 days from Health Ghana or a phone call.
2 to 5 days, an email or a phone call.
Yes, sir, but check your spam just in case.
You bet.
Okay, we from Health Ghana.
Thank you. Well, that is it. I have finished my COVID-19 test for the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and oral swab, self-administered, not up the nose, not in the back of the brain, which is kind of a good thing. So I would say there might have been about 50 cars ahead of me in line. There were 2 lines that formed, and initially there was a couple of police officers that checked me out coming in, and so now I'm leaving the complex where it was held. The first responders had a shortcut line, but the rest of us took the regular line. The people were cooperative and pleasant, and all they needed was my ID and the documentary information. So I'm going to cut this off and say mission accomplished. I registered yesterday, which was May 1st. This is May 2nd at 2 p.m. local time, and it is now 2:18, and I got in about, well, I would say I got fairly close to the first place where you pick up things at about 2:02. And so that was my test, and so you can see how it went. It was fairly easy. Now, after I got home and I read this, unfortunately, I didn't do it the way they wanted me to do it, because I didn't write my name on the test. I didn't write my date of birth, and I didn't write the collection date on the test tube itself and on the envelope. Those were instructions that were on this written thing. They were not in the video, and they were not reviewed by the person. So in a couple of 3 days, 4 or 5 days, if I don't get test results, I will realize that I messed up. And, I didn't try to, but I felt under pressure because of the line of cars to not take time to read the instructions. Let that be a lesson. It's important to read the instructions if you're going to do a self-administered test. I did come with my printout of the time of the test and the test number, and they did check the test number and my name with the list of people when they first gave me the test. So I presume that everything will be okay. But again, we'll see how it goes. I think that I read a headline somewhere that they had tripled the testing in Los Angeles, but that's probably not even enough. Eventually, we're going to need to be able to test a lot of people, and I'm sure that that'll all work out. But I don't think we like waiting while they work all that out. So I just hope that this disease is not part of my family. Although, again, I had an uncle who probably had this disease in Texas in January, and had to be ventilated for 3 days and survived and did well. So that was a good thing, because much of the ventilation that goes on in what I've been hearing about New York City, as an example, ventilation is usually not a good outcome. Usually the outcome is death. So it's a sober time. But I want to thank you for, listening to my little story. And I am still hopeful that I'll be able to make my journey of 100 years, a healthy 100 years. I'd like to have you come along with me. And just for today, I want to say I'm thankful for what I have received. Thankful for a government that is trying to do their best for us. It's certainly a difficult time for so many people, and there is going to be continued unrest until we all get back to work. So stay safe, stay well, and keep your distance. Good night.